The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, this is Tom Lane, DM2 Software's Vice President of Marketing. I would like to welcome everyone to today's Go Paperless webinar. Before I introduce today's presenters, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Because of the number of attendees we have on today's webinar, everyone's phones will stay on mute. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the chat or the question window you see on the lower right of your screen. We'll try to answer everyone's questions at the end of the webinar. If we're unable to get to everyone's questions, we'll follow up with each of you individually after the webinar. Today's webinar is being recorded. As soon as the recording is available, we will post it on the customer content page of our website and send you an email to let you know when it's available to be downloaded. On that note, I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Fred Deckel, he's the channel manager for ASG-Cypress, our advanced paperless partner, and our own Vicki Dalton, our national sales representative, to give you an overview of our paperless office options. Okay, take it away, Vicki.
Thank you, Tom. I'd like to begin with just some understanding of some testimonials that use of paperless can really assist you in your day-to-day processes. Hagen Kennington wrote to us, Cindy did, that paperless, they've been in the paperless world since 2007, very hesitant to scan everything and not keep that hard copy as a backup. And as you see at the very bottom, their latest quote is, so much easier to push a button instead of going through a file cabinet to locate a document. So there's a success story there that I wanted to share with you. Beyond that, though, our consultants here at DM2 have shared that customers who've used paperless here, it helps to uncover where additional training may need to be. Might be able to do research, know that there's training needed, and that assists, again, in that good results of using paperless. Our support desk, of course, helps them if you use paperless because it does help them obtain supporting documents. So that research that you might have to do today to have our support desk help you, with the use of paperless, they can do that research and get those good answers that you all need. At DM2, we have two paperless options. The first is the Sage Paperless, and that is a product that is included with versions 4.3 and above. With this investment that is included, as mentioned with the Sage offering, it does help to turn documents automatically into PDFs and stores them on the DM2 server. It also allows that anything out of the print stream can be stored, such as journals, your registers, your reports. It is a good tool for basic storage and a great way to get started on paper, going paperless. Product that we'd like to talk with you today about, though, is DM2 Paperless, powered by Cypress. Our relationship with Cypress began in 2006, and one initiative that all of our customers had back in 2006, and I imagine you all have today, is just the desire to go paperless. So because Sage did not have an offering, DM2 went looking for that right solution to partner with, as we do with many other initiatives that our customers have. We actually reached out, found Cypress, and became partnered with them to provide our customers what their goals were. Cypress is a enterprise class Fortune 500 a paperless offering. You can see here that the New York Stock Exchange, General Mills, 3M utilize this offering. It has a comprehensive document storage. It handles external documents, Word, Excel, etc. Handles scanning of external documents, such as your bills of ladings and that, into paperless, which I'll cover here in a moment. It does have an advanced search engine, allowing you to search for documents, sophisticated security, so that if you're scanning in credit applications or HR documents, those are, of course, secure, so only the right folks in your organization can obtain access to them. And then also workflow management, which we're also going to share today with you. As mentioned, the Sage Paperless allows you to do and file in PDF format into the DM2 server those documents that are in the print stream. But beyond, by investing in the DM2 Paperless, it does allow you to scan in, as mentioned here, some samplings, signed delivery tickets, credit applications, your bills of ladings, the driver reports, deliveries, of course, from your common carriers. Anything that you can imagine that you might file into a file cabinet, and then, of course, have to retrieve in your future. Some documents that are supported, of course, is those that I've just mentioned previously, but also remember that Business Insights Reporter that does come bundled with your offering of accounting can also, those reports can also be filed into the DM2 paperless. As mentioned, we do have workflow helps with a routing such as an AP invoice. Fred's going to cover that in just a few moments. We talk about the ability to bundle documents together. Might like to have a signed delivery ticket go out with your invoice as one example. Able to, as then those documents are submitted to your customer, there's no excuse or reason. They know that they did receive your product. And then, of course, talking about supporting of centralization of functions. You might have a second location, though it's not manned by an accounting team. All those documents must get to your main office, of course, for those processes to happen. And this might, the DM2 paperless could give you that centralized place that they could scan those documents, they could come into the DM2 paperless, giving you all access to that, and then just cycker, efficient way of processing accounting responsibilities that need to happen. Inside of DM2, we actually took the Cypress offering. It is a very, as mentioned, for Fortune 500 companies, they have in those organizations IT to support their paperless. In DM2, we recognize that at our customers' locations, they in many cases do have IT, but their main focus, of course, would not be managing paper. So we actually wrote what I call a front engine to it to make it very simple to get your documents into the paperless. So if you look here on my screen, you'll see that in reporting, you're able to set up each report, one setup. It's a default setup, but you can see that you can maybe have a report not store into paperless. You might want it to store and also print. You might want it to store, of course, and not to print. I'll cover that also in just a moment. Document retrieval is made easy. As you go into the DM2 paperless, if you press F6 on any field, it will retrieve the documents that are related to that field in which you've pressed the F6 key. In the document retrieval world, as you selected F6 then, it presents to you all the documents that reference that field of F6 that you've pressed upon. In the advanced paperless world, as mentioned about the bundling of documents, but beyond that, you might also like to automatically distribute documents to multiple people. You might want to send a group of documents out via email or by fax directly out of paperless. You might want to, of course, improve your workflow using the document routing, as Fred will share here also in just a moment. Inside of the DM2, you will see that when you purchase the DM2 paperless, you will see three icons added to your desktop, or added to your toolbar, I should say. The first option, or icon, is for an inquiry, a simple lookup. And I'm going to just show you here an example. If you were to type in a year, type in the month, and type in a day, and of course you could do a range of days as well. If you were to do a search, it will then show you all documents on this specific day that were, of course, presented to the DM2 paperless server. If we clear that and we were looking for a specific document, such as a document title, you can imagine that you would type in sales order, gross profit, and then it would show me all of those documents that are referencing what my document title is. So it helps you to do a great search by using these search options here that I'm sharing with you. If we look at the next icon, it is a paperless inbox. What this means is that as a user, as I do my updating of journals and registers and my work throughout a day, every document that goes and is directed into paperless will also arrive here in my inbox. So that if I wish to take a quick look at what I have directed into the paperless office, or I want to take a quick review of this specific document, I can view it here on the screen. So you can see here I've got a bill of lading that I've scanned in and directed to paperless, an accounts aged invoice report, and of course a picking sheet because I was doing inventory in that. So this just gives you that inbox, that ability that you can see those documents that have gone to paperless. The next icon provides the ability to be able to direct documents into the paperless storage. So if you look here, I'm going to click on this button right here. You would be able to scan a set of documents into this window. I'm going to click back here just so that you can see. These are the documents behind here that I placed on possibly a scanner. I've got all my documents that would show and appear here. Then to the right, I would direct them then into paperless. You can also, though, do image files, such as a TIFF or a JPEG, and be able to direct those here to this window to be filed. The third option here, of course, is a native file. As mentioned in my slide presentation, you can note that you could also direct an Excel document, a Word document, anything else external that you'd like to direct. As these documents appear here into this window, you then click upon them, and then you would direct them into paperless. And you can see here the description pre-filled for us. You might enter the vendor, the customer, a keyword, and then index and store. Once they're stored, then they fall out of this window and they go directly into the Sage paper or the DM2 paperless, and allows you then with the F6 to find and retrieve those documents. And I'll also show you that here in just a moment. If we go, for example, to the aged invoice report in accounts payable, and if we go to the setup here for the printer, if I go to the printer option, notice here in my lower left-hand window it says PDF Creator. If I change this, though, to the DM2 paperless, and I say OK, and then I want to set it up that I say I don't store it, I store and print, or I store and don't print, I'm going to actually direct this and say I want to store it, but I don't want to print it. If I say OK, you'll notice that it now turns yellow. So then anyone who comes in to run an accounts payable aged invoice report, because now it is set up to be directed into Sage Paperless, the DM2 paperless, you're able then to retrieve that and not worry that it's not going to be stored. So this is a way in which, as you set up the DM2 paperless, this is a way of knowing, glancing as a user, that, oh, this document, this report is going to be directed into paperless. Next thing I'd like to share with you is the inquiry. And if we go here to the customer inquiry now, and I'm going to select here a customer. I'm going to type in their of course, you can do a lookup of your customer. If I press F6, this will show you all documents that have been filed for Dalton Ice Company. Any place where a document has Dalton Ice Company on it will be in yellow. If I was to click here, you'll see page 2, though, has no hit, meaning that I don't, on page 2 of this specific document, Dalton Ice Company does not reside. What that helps you with is that you might have a 900-page document. You might want to be drawn to the specific page where Dalton Ice is, maybe on 888 page of 900 document, and you'll be able to be brought to that specific page. So it does help you in paperless as these documents filter and they're stored. It does take you specifically to where and which within that document you know that Dalton Ice resides. The next example I'd like to show you is if I jump to the Invoice tab. Example I like to use is that I'm your credit manager. I'm calling Dalton Ice Company. They owe us money. They said that, oh, but Vicki, I've not received that product. If, for example, that's the case, I can press F6. It will then pull up for me the bill of lading, the invoice, the signed customer invoice because we've scanned that in. And while on the phone with them, and as being your credit manager, I could actually click this document, click this document. I could say then, right here, just a minute, John. I'm on the phone. Let me share what I see here and make sure that we agree. And I might type invoice, and I might put in the invoice number just for reference for them. I can then say OK. So what this is going to do is, because I have checked these documents, it will consolidate these two documents into one. Fire off, I always say, my Outlook. Attach then that document, and you'll see here in just a moment, it then will show us within this document, it will show us both the invoice and that signed delivery ticket. Let me
and Vicki, you can drag that query window a little wider so the document will get larger that you're looking at too.
Okay, very good. A little larger. Let me see if I can do that. How's that? That's good. And then you're able then to be able to see, of course, our signed document and our invoice. So John has no question now that, oh gosh, Vicki did sign for it, we did receive that, and now we could get paid. Of course, I put John's email address in here while I'm visiting with him. And then, and I think that's what I have here for an overview of paperless. Fred, I'll turn it to you now, and you can then help and assist with how to route documents.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll just change presenter to you.
There seems to be a little bit of delay here.
Okay.
On my side anyway, so I'll wait till...
It does show you as presenter. Are you able to?
My screen's still refreshing. Our internet seems slow today. Okay, let me do that. Get this going. Show my screen. And let me know when you see my screen.
We'll do that.
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it now on my end.
Okay. Great. So I'm gonna pick up where Vicki left off, and as Vicki was mentioning, when you scan documents into the scan queue, you can have separate queues. You scan your documents in. You can zoom in, zoom out, depending what you need to do here. So you can see the document full size. We're going to go ahead and put a stamp on here that says this document was received, and this is just a bitmap. You can move around the screen. You can make it look like anything you want. And as Vicki mentioned early on, what I'm going to do in this part of the demonstration is show that once something's scanned in and you want to go through a workflow process, we can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and select the person. This Johnny Sacco character is our demo character. It's going to send it to his Cypress inbox called Invoices Awaiting Approval. And I'll explain a little bit of that here in a minute. And I can say, put notes in here. I can turn on email notifications. So when this gets sent, an email sent to their Outlook that says you have a document in your Cypress inbox to review. So we'll go ahead and send that. And when we send it off, you'll notice that we can also rename the document, so you know when you find it what it looks like. And this is all done. So what I'm going to do next is come to my Cypress inbox within Mass here, and you'll see the Invoices Awaiting Approval inbox has a, it's bold, so that means there's a document in there. And I'll go ahead and click on it. And this is a viewing panel. And I can go ahead and click this button here to make it larger if you need to take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and approve the document. And again, another stamp. And these stamps could be, like this, could be a signature stamp, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and add some basic coding information in here. For $500, GL 760 for $234. You can put whatever type of notes in here that you want. I'm going to go ahead and route this to the next person in the approval process, and that will be Thomas Acker here. So I'm going to go ahead and say send for approval. And one thing I wanted to point out here is the workflow that I'm going to show you here is a basic workflow. What's interesting about companies and their workflow processes is you would consider an AP process a pretty standard approval process, but it's amazing how different they actually end up being when, if an invoice is over a certain amount, it needs to go to a different group of people. Maybe you have a simple process, maybe you have a complicated process. Maybe you want to attach other documents with it. I mean, it's really amazing how different all the different approval processes can be. So the Thomas Acker, who's going to do the next approval on this, he's not using Mass. He's just an Outlook user. So we can actually run Cypress right from within Mass. And it's going to come up as Johnny Sacco just because I can't log in and log out, so we're going to use the same character here. So I'm going to bring this back down. I have the ability to show all the people within Cypress. So I'll go to Thomas Acker here. Go down to here. You can see the approval information. I'll go ahead and, again, you can blow that up. But also notice over on the side here that this coding information was put on here. So I'm going to go ahead and approve it, and oops, close that back there. Go ahead and approve this. And again, based on the Windows login ID, this would change for each person. But you can see the, let me slide this over. You can see the different date and time stamps and so on. And so once, if this had to go to somebody else, I would do that, come down here and pick where it needed to go. I'm going to go ahead and just send it to the accounting department because this is complete. We'll go ahead and do that. And again, it'll send it on its way. And you notice that when I hit, complete or send, it clears it out of the queue. So it's not, just sitting out here looking for you to do something. So let me go ahead and refresh all. And we'll come up to the accounting department, and now the document's over here. And as I click on it, again, you can move these sliders up like this, but you can see all the approval information. You can see all the coding information that was put on. It's separated here. So you get a complete history of any notes, coding information that goes on. And this panel here can be made as advanced as you want. We have some customers that actually, instead of writing in, the GL information, they actually have drop-downs that picks a GL account, and then you type in the amount. You could get fancy, type in the total for the invoice, and then it does the math to make sure that the number of GL accounts and the total matches the total for the invoice, and all sorts of things. So, and at this point, it'd go back to accounting. They would go write a check and be on its way. So here's one example of how you can do the advanced workflow with our product. And I'm going to send it back to you. So stop sharing, change presenter, and back to you, Vicki. Okay, I've sent it back to you, Vicki.
Okay, I'm going to jump back in. This is Tom again. I just wanted to let everybody know that we've got a webinar scheduled on December 13th to go over Sage ERP Intelligence, which is formerly known as Sage Mass Intelligence. We want to show you how you can use it to help access strategic information, boost your productivity, and save time and money. And that's going to be on December 13th at 11:30 Pacific Time, 1:30 Central Time. Right after this webinar is over, I'm going to send the invitation out so you can start registering for that. And now we can move into the Q&A session. Do you want to advance the slide there, Vicki? Okay, we have one question so far. This comes from Christy over at Coleman. She's saying, what is the clarity of the scanned documents in Paperless? They found that the viewing clarity is poor, but when they go to print it, it's clear. She wanted to know if we have any experience with that.
There's some settings that can be changed. Within Cypress, within DM2 Paperless, there's settings you can go in and change to have the viewing fast and it'll be less quality, or you can have it print quality or something in between. So it's the chances are that the setting that you have set right now is set to a fast redraw that has lower resolution. So okay, that's adjustable based on your needs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Fred. All right, the next questions come in from Al over at Burns. What's the recommended disk space for paperless usage?
I would probably, for, unless you're a, Fortune 5,000 type company, a couple hundred gigs of disk space, and that's only so you don't have to, change it 5 years from now. Really, if you were even 100 gigs 3 years from now, I'd be shocked. So it's really a pretty efficient package as far as how it stores things.
Okay, great. Thanks, Fred. Next question is from Christy again. She wants to know what happens if there are many, many documents for a particular customer. They have found that the search won't call up all those documents if there are too many of them.
Well, really, when you do a document search, you want to narrow your search down to, ideally the type of document or group of documents that you're looking for. Short of doing, I'm not even sure what to call it, but typically you're looking for a few pages or 20 pages or a group of documents. I think our search setting is limited to, 500 or 1,000 or something like that. You can change it to things much higher, but then again, the whole idea behind paperless is to refine your search so you get back the documents you're looking for. So in the scenario that you're talking about, it sounds like you're saying find all documents for this customer, and you probably want to add to the search, find all documents in this date range or this document type or something along those lines, and that should greatly reduce the document search, because if you get back 500 or 1,000 documents, that's just like walking over to the file cabinet and looking through it. It's more of a, how you're doing your searches, we need to take a look at that.
Okay, thank you, Fred. All right, the next question is from Jessica over at Retief. She's asking if we could get a quick demo of how it works with CardLink. I don't know if that's something that we can do right here and now, Vicki.
Well, it would work. The CardLink would work the same way, in which that you would go into the reports and you would define that you want them directed into the paperless, Tom, and so that those journals and registers will appear inside of CardLock, inside of paperless, no different than any other module.
Oh, okay.
And,
all right, and we could always follow up with Jessica offline if we want to go in more detail.
Glad to do that. Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes.
And to add a little bit more to that, what Vicki was saying, it's really virtually any document. When you print any document, Cypress just looks like a printer. So it really doesn't matter the source that it's coming from.
Okay.
Good clarification. You must print in the software. You must print in order for it to be driven into the paperless, what we call DocuVault.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, the next question is from Jerry over at Cardwell. He is asking, can you please tell us how you can link a scanned document to a system-generated report that relates to the scanned document?
That would be accomplished by index information. Cypress itself doesn't use a file folder structure just for that reason, because it limits on how you can, link things together. If you think about taking an invoice over to a file cabinet, you file by invoice number, by vendor name, by date, by year. So you make 4 copies and put them in all 4 locations. With DM2 Paperless, you can index it, let's say, by invoice number. And if that invoice number is on that report and captured, and you say find documents with this invoice number, you'll get those 2 documents. As a matter of fact, that report, if it's a multi-page report, it'll just retrieve the page or pages that invoice number's on. So it's virtually done by index information.
Okay, thank you, Fred. All right, the next question is from Tina over at EdStob. She is asking, can you clarify what version of MAS we need to have to run DM2 paperless, that we can attach external documents such as AP invoices to AP vendors or AR credit applications to AR customers?
I'm not sure what version they're on, because I know they've been a customer for a while, but the current version that your support would support that function.
Yes.
And I don't think, Vicki, you would know this, I don't think it's tied necessarily to the version of MAS. I think your current release of DM2 paperless would work with the current version and all version 4, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, we can talk about this offline with Tina, but because our DM2 paperless offering has been, written and released in 2006 for every version there forward, the paperless does work and do what we shared today. Beyond, that additional functionality that Fred showed, of course, would be advanced, but the standard that I believe Tina is looking for would work in current version along with the paperless.
Correct. Yeah, that was a function that we added like in 2008 or so, bringing in Word documents and Excel and that through the scan control.
Correct.
So depending on what version they're currently on.
Okay, good. We're getting some real good questions here. The next one is from Lisa over at Associated. She's asking if this application can be run on a virtual server.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, another question from Al. How does this work for workers who access MAS 200 over terminal services / RDP?
Should work like a...
Just as though you're in the same
Yep.
office? Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a supported configuration.
Okay. I think you touched on this question earlier when Al asked it, but Jerry over at Cardwell is asking what is the space needed to implement this program as far as storage?
A couple hundred gigabytes to start, and that, again, that way you'll be good for at least 5 years unless you're, Fortune 5000 company.
Fred, can you mention, too, how it takes the document and makes it such a very small, minute amount for space required?
Yep. So
Thank you.
printed documents, when they're captured by Cypress, we don't create a PDF on the fly or TIFF or anything like that and store it that way. We actually capture the physical print stream and all the components that make up that document. There'll be fonts, there'll be, the window stock, there'll be maybe some logos. So we store all the components that make up that document. As a result, a printed page within Cypress is about 2 to 4K in size. And once a font comes into Cypress, we don't store it over and over as new documents come in. We say, okay, we got this font, we're good. So we just, store the unique pieces of everything, but remember how it all goes back together. So when you click to view it, you look at it, and if you ever print it, you don't even have to have the authoring system. Cypress will generate the exact copy of it and print it back off for you.
Okay, very good. All right, the next question is from Beth over at Nelson. She's asking, how does this interface with Smart Truck? That's for Fred's benefit, that's our truck automation interface that we have with our partner, Smart Logics.
Yep. Yeah, that I know at your user group meetings when you had those, anything you can print, again, we don't care what application it comes from. If it can print and generate a report, it'll come into Cypress and we'll index it the way it needs to be indexed so you can find it again. And then anything printed off within the truck would have to be scanned in. Did I cover all the basis of it, Tom?
I think so. Vicki, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, we might talk directly with Beth to see if what exactly I'm thinking. Maybe a signed signature. Beth might want that to also go in, and so we might want to follow up with Beth on that and everyone and just get more information, Tom, on that. because I believe that the Smart Truck can, of course, capture signatures, and those might want to be brought into paperless, for quick retrieval. So
yeah, and those
that would be a file handoff, right, Fred?
Yeah, exactly. If the Smart Truck, if I'm calling it right, generates a PDF or TIFF that has that signature on it, it's just again another file. We come into Cypress and we can process it.
So we could work with SmartLogics to identify what file format that would be in and direct it into paperless, so that you would then have those signed also right in paperless to be retrieved.
Yep. Matter of fact, all they would do is save it off to a specific disk location that we tell the customer to, and that disk location would know how to bring in and process and index that document automatically, so you wouldn't have to touch it. Just save it there and it's done.
Okay, excellent. Tina got back to us and said she's talking about version 3.71 in particular.
Okay, so I'll need to do some research on that because, of course, we all know that was a bit ago. So let me research. As Fred said, there's been some enhancements. I just don't know if the latest version of Cypress works with that version of DM2. I mean, for the advanced feature, functionality enhancements we've done over the years. So I just need to confirm that for you, Tina.
Yeah. Okay. Find out the version of Cypress, Tina, if you can.
Yeah, we'll have Terry Gertzens help us with this and get you some good answers.
Okay, great. We'll make sure we follow up on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, another question from Al. Does the search look at the actual contents of a document, or does it only search on the metadata attached to the document by the archiving system?
Either or both. Depending how the document is set up to come in, is it set up to do regional indexing on the document, full text indexing on the document, or metadata that's typed in, let's say at scan time? Those are all valid search criteria, and all three could be searched in any combination.
Okay. All right, another question from Jerry over at Cardwell. Can you take existing scanned documents and add them to the DM2 paperless? He's saying that they have a year of in-house paperless already.
Yes.
And ideally they were scanned into some sort of directory structure, whether it's by month, by customer number, vendor, whatever. If there's a intelligent file folder structure, we can tell DM2 paperless to go get all the documents from that structure and use the path name to create additional indexes of those documents. We do that all the time.
Okay, great. All right, another question from Al. Does this work with email clients aside from Outlook?
Outlook is the only one that we support officially. Not to say that it wouldn't, but it's with Exchange, as far as having add-ins for Outlook, that's the only one that we support. I would be happy to look at any other type. I mean, we do have done things with Lotus Notes. Other things are involved to do some work with them, but we do support that as well.
Okay. All right, we've got a follow-up question from Jessica over at Retief. She's asking to clarify, does this work with the current Paperless Office module we have, or is it a new module she would need to purchase?
To do which part? Is that the workflow part?
She had asked earlier about the CardLink application.
Oh,
that should work with what they currently have.
Well, we need to check the version that Jessica's on for Retief, because I believe that the card lock, the ability for journals and registers from the DM2 modules to go into the paperless was added. I don't know the year and I don't know the version. So we'll need to look into that for you, Jessica, to define what version of everything that you have.
Yeah, she just confirmed that they're on 4.3.
then yes, it should work with 4.3. Unless it was late in 4.3 it was added, but again, we can confirm that for you.
Okay.
But
We'll
nothing
clarify
additional
that.
needs to be purchased for the journals, registers of card lock to go direct into paperless. It would be, again, a version control thing.
Okay. All right, some excellent questions. That looks like all the questions we've got for now. I just want to remind everybody that today's webinar has been recorded. Once the recording is available, we'll post it along with a copy of the presentation slides on the customer content page of our website, and then I'll send everyone an email to let them know when they're available to be downloaded.
Excuse me, Tom, there were two things
Sure.
that didn't get asked and didn't get covered that many folks do ask me, and I was thinking maybe that Fred could speak to them. He does such a great job, and we just have a few more minutes of time.
Oh,
do you
sure,
mind if
sure.
I share those? Fred, could you please speak to security and how secure a document is, and that if no one can alter, an original document, add to it, but they can alter? I know that those are two really questions that folks ask me, and I thought maybe you could really do a fine job of speaking to them.
Okay. Yeah, as far as security in DM2 paperless documents, there's two aspects of it. Documents, once they come into the DocuVault, the way they're stored, there's absolutely no way to go in and get the document and modify it. So it's virtually impossible to modify a document that's within Cypress. So one, because a lot of our competitors will actually, use SQL or something for a database to store the index information, but the documents themselves are just TIFFs or PDFs out on disk. So if that's the case, those can be modified, but the way they're pulled into our database, there's 1,024 database files, and they're broken up within there, so there's virtually no way you could change anything. The other aspect of it is document security. When documents are added into Cypress, into DM2 paperless, based on the Windows user login ID, they get security to look at the document, and that as it goes through the DM2 paperless process, additional security is added. For example, let's say you have an AP and an AR group, and you don't want the AR group to see AP documents and vice versa. So you put the person that's searching for AP documents in the AP group, and they can go search for those documents. But somebody in the AR group, if they tried to search for the same document, they would just get an error message, a warning saying no documents found. So we look every time a query is done, we check your Windows credentials to say, are you allowed to see this document? And if you are, then you can go retrieve it.
Thank you, Fred, for those great clarifications. Appreciate that.
Okay, we did get one more question in from Sabrina over at Bassett Highland. She said they would like to send card lock invoices and statements paperless to customers. How is this done, and do they need Cypress to be able to do this?
No, you could actually utilize DM2's Outbox to send those invoices and statements to customers. And you can define in DM2's Outbox whether you wish them to be, the customer wishes that maybe the invoice be sent to specific people in the organization, where the statement might be directed within the organization to someone else. So in the DM2 Outbox comes standard with the card lock module. You can define how and which each individual customer wishes to receive those two documents. Once set up, then when you print, the system then knows, as you do prints in card lock, it will know, and in accounts receivable, it will know then how each individual customer wishes to receive that document.
Okay. All right, some great questions, everybody. I appreciate that. And once again, I just want to remind everybody that we've recorded this webinar, and as soon as it's available, we'll make the recording and the presentation slides available to everybody. If you can think of any other questions after the webinar or would like to find out more about our paperless options, please feel free to email us at sales@dm2.com. And I wanted to thank Fred and Vicki for doing an excellent job today. And I want to thank everybody for attending today's Go Paperless webinar. We'll look forward to having you join us next month for our SAGE ERP Intelligence webinar. Thank you very much. That concludes today's webinar.